I don't know where everybody is.
Well, we'll give them a couple more minutes. There's Marshall.
Yeah,
Oh,
there we go. I was counting heads and I wasn't getting very far.
oh, yeah. Bill had called a minute ago. They've got some kind of emergency call with the state, I guess, on this newest mask order. So I don't know that he'll be here.
They got what now?
Some kind of call with the state on this new mask order, or what the mayors can do about the masks in public. So he may not be here.
Remember, that's county mayors, only county mayors.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as that order came out, my inbox started filling up. When you gonna do it? You need to talk to Bill.
And even then, I mean, are your police gonna go around and enforce, something like that?
But if these things are effective, if you watch television yesterday or last night, or this morning, apparently people in South Carolina and California and Florida, they don't think so.
Yeah.
They apparently don't think this distance is
Good morning.
working
Morning.
either.
But yeah, it's one of those things, you pass it and you can't enforce it, it doesn't do you much good.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing that's bothering me, for example, why would you tear down Christopher Columbus's statue? Huh? Even Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. That, and you better go out and buy your Redskins souvenirs right now.
Buy them while you can get them.
What's that?
Redskins.
Buy your Redskins souvenirs now. It's gonna end up being like some of these schools in big cities, they're just gonna end up numbering all the teams, number one, number two, number three. I mean, everybody's so offended by everything. People look for things to be offended by. I think it was early this morning. Not surprised, but it's 6:10. I bet he's on the call. Do you think Gary would have been on that call this morning too?
They usually talk, but I hadn't heard from either one of them.
I wonder if there'll be a push from the state to kind of ask the mayors to do it.
Well, if you don't give them any authority but to do it, it's no different than saying, we suggest.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. We've got a quorum, I think, present. You've got before you the minutes of the meeting of April 6th. Is there any questions or concerns about those minutes? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to be approved.
So moved.
Cox moved,
Second.
second. All those in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Tony, I reckon you're gonna be our star today. You wanna give us,
You want me to give two reports in one? Yeah, well, the big news we got this month is we are moved into the new Public Works compound on Durham Landing. We're not fully operational. We're still living out of a lot of cardboard boxes and trying to get things set up, but we are at the new site and we are in operation from there. That means we have finally fully turned over the site to TCAT on Dye Street, and they have been working on remediation of fluids and hazardous materials, some asbestos tile. We expect those last buildings from Public Works to come down here this week. They've already got the pad and the footers laid for the building. We should see significant change and progress on that site for TCAT. The next domino that will fall in this long-term plan is the community center. We have got our design to 75%. We've got our money in the bank ready for construction. So we just need to get to the point where we can go out and start getting some bids and getting things ready to go here in the next few months. And community center will be coming out of the ground here in about 18 months construction. So 2 years from now, we should be seeing evidence of a community center in earnest. If you look out at the West End Park near Maid, TDOT's 5 projects that they've got have been bid. They have awarded a contract to APAC. So that's a traffic signal at Commerce and 11E, J-turns at Commerce and 160, some resurfacing projects in the area that will all tie together. In total, there are 5 contracts that APAC got on that end of town that should begin construction this summer. One of the big things that we are doing, and the county's doing as well, is trying to wrestle with our budget and how the downturn in the economy with COVID is going to impact us. Sales tax are clearly going to be down. We projected in our budget 10% down for the year. So far, we don't have good information to see how it's going, but it is, for us, beginning to trend down. Last month we got was 3% down. The same month the county was actually up. When you look at the numbers and the timing of the spending, the uptick in spending ties directly to stimulus checks and $600 in unemployment bonus. Once those monies play out, we don't know where we're going to be. Tourism, hotel, motel tax is way down. I know that Ann's tracking that, and that we've got concerns about how that's going to impact our tourism program, how that's going to impact our downtown Main Street program. Another thing that's making it difficult to track sales tax is the change the state put in place with internet sales. The way they allocate those sales is now based on where you live. They used to do it based on where the rest of the sales tax money was going. So if you look around us, Hamilton County and all the rural counties around us are seeing an uptick in sales tax revenues, partially because of the stimulus money and partially because of internet sales. More people are ordering online, we're seeing more of that, and more of that revenue will shift to the counties around us that we've been used to getting to support our economic development here. So we've got some real uncertainty. We've got some legwork to do in terms of gathering data, but overall, we still think our numbers of 10% down for the year are going to be pretty close to the mark. It's a challenging time, and I know that the county's wrestling with similar things. So it's a difficult period of time to wrestle with unknowns when there are so many at the same time.
can you give us, I know schools are not in the city's budget, but, obviously, the sales tax money, of the school budget, a rather large amount of their income is sales tax, isn't it?
That's right, a lot of the direct money they get is sales tax. I've talked to Dr. Perry, he's concerned because if the sales tax money's not there, they don't have it, that puts additional pressure on the county commission to make up the difference. And I think that's gonna be a real problem across the state, is that you'll find some communities are going to have to raise property taxes to meet their minimum requirements for schools because sales tax went down. And it's gonna be a challenge in a lot of places. I don't know that Hamlin's gonna be in that boat, but I think some of our neighbors will be seeing that kind of problem.
When will we know that?
We're 60 days behind on when you know, from the time you go through the cash register to the time that we get the report at the locality, there's 60 days lag time. So right now, we're still working with numbers that's early on in the process. It'll give us another 30 to 60 days before we really know what's gonna happen.
You got any other questions, anybody? Thank you for that report. Bill's not here. Or did he give any?
I'll talk about a little bit on the task force, kind of what he
Okay.
wanted to talk about. I guess first for me, the big thing is, you know, with public works going, you see the work going on for TCAP right now, and that's really important to us, to get some of that workforce development going. Talking with the existing industry, it penalizes the sales tax, but they're excited about unemployment, the additional benefits ending. Had an email this morning that they're praying for the end of July because they need 30 people, and right now people are turning them down because they're making more on unemployment. So our industries are experiencing growth. What we're seeing is most of our industries were essential, and they experienced about 30% growth. So early on, they were nervous, orders stopped, orders were down, but what we're seeing now is about a 30% growth of existing industry. So they're all gonna struggle for employment, and it's gonna be kind of a mad rush at the end of July to grab people. So that's kind of good news for us, so we'll see some expansion going there. You know, it's hard to incentivize people for not working. We understand all people's situations are different, and you never wanna see people out of work, and you want them to get that money. But when we pay people more not to work than to go to work, that's kind of a broken system. The community center's been a big thing that a lot of our industries have mentioned, actually 2 in the last week. It was kind of odd in the same day. They both asked about the progress and how quickly that will be going, and they're wanting to use that as an incentive, you know, to recruit people to the area, new employees and management. That they said that's just an expectation that a community of our size has something like that. And they kind of used Newport as an example. Well, how has Newport had one since the 70s and we don't? And of course, back then, there was a lot of grant money, you know, available to build those things in urban renewal. But that's kind of an expectation that those people have of our community, and we're excited to see the city pushing forward on that. One thing you'll notice on tourism was we held the State Disc Golf Open, and this has made a little bit of the news. We had over 500 players. About 330, 350 were from outside of our area, so they stayed in hotel rooms. All that, and what we track is direct economic impact. So we don't do what, say, a Sevier County does. We don't use multipliers. We don't say, you know, we take the actual hotel room and then we multiply it by 3 because that's what we think they'll spend. We actually track what they spend. We ask them where they eat. We know what hotels they stayed in. We ask the rate. So we track only direct economic impact with no multipliers. And our tournament just for a weekend was over $200,000 that stayed local. So seeing what was happening with hotel motel tax, to get those, you know, motels full was pretty exciting. I know Hampton Inn, you know, both of our Hamptons were like at 90% capacity or above, so that was good to see for those hotels. We've got, so the task force, you know, has met a few Zoom meetings, and we're talking about kind of the changing, what's going on with schools, you know, what's going on in the community. And it's interesting, the sentiment there, you know, the hospital's handling things well, and what, I guess, and Tony could comment too, the group's we're seeing a lot of cases, but the cases seem to be more mild. You're not seeing the use of ventilators, you're not seeing what you used to see. But we're seeing certain socioeconomic groups, not heeding the warnings. And I don't know if that's, you know, what barriers that is in the community. For example, when the health department, when you test positive, the health department's gonna call you every day. And they're gonna say, hey, how are you feeling? Can we do anything for you? Can we help you? A lot of these people are just hanging up. They won't respond, they won't answer the phone. Then those people are going into public with no mask, and they're infecting larger populations. So we're trying to figure out how to educate these groups of people. You know, how do we protect everybody in the community? And our goal is to let them know the health department's here to help you. You know, if you need groceries, if you need food, they'll find people to get you these things. So it's a positive thing. Another one, Jody and I went out to McNeilus Steel the other day, and they're hoping to do a ribbon cutting once all this calms down. But it was really impressive. How many employees were they up to? 20 or 30? 40. And their original projection in 3 years was, I think, 50. So they're gonna hit that rather quickly, and hopefully, they'll probably expand before we get to cut a ribbon. But it was pretty exciting to see the size and scale of some of that equipment. One thing they noted was in town, the lack of crane operators. And they said a lot of the furniture industries had cranes, you know, smaller cranes to move stuff around. And what they noted, theirs are like 20-ton cranes. And they said they're sending people to school to manipulate these large cranes. And they talked about, you know, if an accident occurs there, it's not just a broke bone or something, you know, it's a death. So they have to have people really educated and trained in using that equipment. They have worked locally with one of our companies. What's the name, Jody? ES Inc. Larry LaPlue. So Larry's in the airport park, and they service. So the cranes these guys have, they're much bigger than what Larry could do, but they've actually let some of Larry's employees go to the training for this crane operation so Larry can send his staff to work on it. So the goal is to work more locally if they can, so they're excited to do that. But that's neat to see their facility. It's so clean, you know, and you think a metal fab facility like that just wouldn't be. But they're very particular about how clean it is, and, you know, it'll be a good tenant for the park. There's one more thing I'll note. Someone in the group made a call to TDEC, and it was about Lowland, and it wasn't positive, and they were telling TDEC all these bad things were going out there. So TDEC went and looked, and what they found was Sam Furrow spending millions of dollars cleaning up his building. And so Furrow and their group has been awarded the state's highest environmental award, called the Environmental Stewardship Award. They'll be receiving that at the end of July. And Jack and I have been invited. I don't know that we'll go to the luncheon in Nashville. I know I probably won't. But we're going to show them our appreciation for what they're doing, fixing up a 1 million square foot building out there. It's beautiful. New LED lighting, new ceilings. They spent over $2 million in remediation out there. So it's a facility.
How many square feet have we got in that?
They've got 1.2 million in that. 200,000 elevated and unusable. I think about 200,000's taken. So you've got about 800,000, but only about 300,000 to 400,000's move-in ready. The other part, they're still doing the painting and the lighting. But they did just complete in the back portion where 5R processors were. They did a pretty big cleanup there. And that'll have 100,000 square foot available. And that's one of the best sections. It's got good parking, lots of dock doors. So we'll have some prospects on it. We get a lot of calls for that 100,000 square foot range. So.
Now you said TDEC had called. What was TDEC?
Somebody in the community had alerted TDEC to all the going-ons out there, I guess. And the way TDEC explained to me, that TDEC's essentially out there once a week. They know everything that goes on out there, and they were shocked that somebody in the community didn't know that. So they looked into it closer and found how much money, I guess, and how much work Furrow and them were doing out there, and we're really pleased by it. So they're honoring them on the 21st. So that's good. That's good news for that site out there.
They did have a problem with Where was that outfit from Clinton that came up here? They had,
There was one from Wisconsin.
was it Wisconsin?
Yep, and they were recycling everything, and they were, at the time before Obama, you could sell the lead. They were breaking the leaded glass out of TVs, and you could sell the lead. I won't say it's Obama, because I honestly don't think half the politicians have a clue on the rules. Under his administration, the EPA made a change that the lead was now dangerous to process and sell. So they just basically stockpiled it up there in large totes. I mean, it was just, they were sealed up in large plastic totes. And what they were waiting on was for the next presidential election to change the rule back. But they went out of business before that happened, so when they left all those totes of material. So Furrow had to go in and basically clean it up. He paid to haul it off, I'm sure, to some,
Gee,
whatever landfill they used. So T-Dec's happy with us. That's always a good thing.
this, and Perry's not here, and he's probably the only one that can tell us, but, do we have any idea, or does the task force have any idea, when we open up schools in about 4 weeks? I suppose the question is how many do they think will homeschool?
I don't know, Tony, have you heard a number, you know?
I've heard 10% have signed up for online classes.
How much?
10% so far have signed up for online.
How many?
About 10%.
10%. That's about 1,000.
About 1,000, yeah.
I know he's still struggling, trying to see how he can do things. The big problem's gonna be getting teachers to show up to work.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So I think that's, when it comes to opening school, I think the staff is gonna be much more of a problem.
Well, on the national news, it was interesting to me that, if I understood them correctly, us old folks apparently are not enough educated into the new math, so to speak, that we can teach our kids or something. And I thought it was interesting that they didn't think that the parents could sustain the education that we can if they go to school.
With the math, it's the Common Core, and they've created a new way to add 1 + 1. And 1 + 1's always 2, but in Common Core, you use these little boxes, and if the kid answers 3, well, that's still correct, because you tried hard. And, you know, what they want are the parents to teach the new way, when the old way is still correct. It's a different
And then you've got
style of
science and those things that you can't, I can't see them turning their kitchens into laboratories type of thing. Maybe the mayor can, he's been on the school board.
You did fill text.
Did they give you a remedial math?
We thought Common Core was a little bit remedial. It discarded.
Marshall, looking at our factories, I've been trying to get a handle on automotive across the nation. Are our guys getting orders for parts, or?
Some of them are, and what we've got, you know, Molly's your big guys, and they're what you call tier 1. We've got a lot of tier 1s and 2s. The 2s are starting to get orders from the 1s, so they're filtering up, so the 1s see the, I guess, the reopening coming. I know a few of the larger OEMs that have tried to reopen have had outbreaks and have shut lines back down, so it's kind of ebbing and flowing. But what we're seeing is our lower tier automotives are opening back and hiring more than they had prior. So that's good. Yeah, you look at, you know, we have a company that makes lawnmower transmissions. They were concerned early, their numbers were way down, you know, nobody was ordering. They're one of those guys, they're 30% up. So normally they're ramping down right now, they're slowing down. Today, they're working 24/7 trying to keep up with demand, so they're doing very well. You know, at McNeilus, you know, you look at them and, you know, their main thing is just supplying Oshkosh in Jefferson County right now. And it's basically military, but their numbers are much higher than anticipated. And I think Oshkosh may have gotten a new federal contract that will help them, will help us locally as well.